So a bit more of a serious topic to talk about today. Let's get stuck in. So there's been something I want to talk about for a couple of weeks now. It's been going on for a while, but for me, to be honest with you, I've been thinking about how to word it, how to say it, and I just thought, no guff, no fluff, let's just dive straight into it. And it all revolves around marathon training. And so with that, there'll be 3 parts to this video. A bit of an updated shoe choice for the Abingdon Marathon. You probably saw the run on the weekend at Cheltenham at 10k. So a bit of an update there. Then we'll get straight in to the topic that I want to discuss. And then beyond that, I'll just quickly update you on training itself, because I'm kind of happy, kind of not happy. Again, we'll dive into that. So let's just get stuck in right now. So let's get started with the race shoe choice. You probably saw the race vlog on the weekend. I didn't end up going with the Alpha Flies, and I was honest in the opening section of that video. I said I talked the talk, but I couldn't walk the walk. I can't shake the fact how bulky that shoe is, and it just, someone hit the nail on the head in the comments of that video, which was great. And it was, you don't want to be thinking about the shoe when you're racing, you want to be thinking about hydrating and fueling. I think it was Tim, and I just thought, well, it's such a great comment. Like, I don't want in my mind, like, Vaporflies disappear off my feet when I'm running. Alpha Flies, you feel good, you feel fast, you run fast, but I can feel them there, and they're just such a bulky shoe. And I thought, do you know what? The whole concept of that video was just born around the fact that I've done a video in most of my marathon training series talking about my marathon shoe, why I want to race in them, how I feel they benefit me, all of that stuff. I've obviously raced in them at the Cardiff 10k, done a couple of sessions, and the whole idea was to go out there, familiarise myself with the shoe again, because it's been a while since I've run in it, and then kind of make that decision that will probably be the shoe that I'll run in. But also having in the back of my mind, I've got that pair of Next Percent 2s sat in the box, and having success with the Next Percents already and run marathons in the 2 and the 1, they have ultimately been my best marathon. So it was one of those ones where I was kind of hoping I would swing towards the Alpha Fly, because obviously purchased it with my own money, spent a lot of money on it. I want to get some good use out of them, but I think ultimately I've got to be honest with myself and say I think I'll probably end up only using them for training runs now. I might throw them into the odd B or C race here and there, but I don't think they're going to be my goal race shoe. On the flip side, I came off the back of Cheltenham 10k with my lucky pair of Next Percent 2s, finished the run. They still feel so good, and they've got 95 miles in them. I thought they were well over 100, but I checked Strava and they're only up to 95. So I'm very tempted actually to wear those. They're a bit of a lucky charm at the moment, so there's something to be considered as well. Plus now, of course, I've got those vouchers for Up and Running, so I have dropped Up and Running a message to see if they can get a new pair of Saucony Endorphin Elites in. If I can get £150 off those, that will be an absolute steal. So I think basically from a shoe update perspective, now it's a case of saying the Alpha Flies are out the window. If I can get a fresh pair of Endorphin Elites, I think I'm going to go for that. And if not, my lucky pair of Next Percent 2s will no doubt get the nod. I probably won't break out the fresh pair of Baby Blues. I'll use the lucky pair. But shoes aside, let's get into what I really want to talk about. It's been on my mind for a long time, and I've talked to a few people close to me about this topic, and it's something that I feel like I kind of need to verbalize, really, to kind of get it off my chest, use it as a little bit of a sounding board. Hope you guys understand. It'd be great to hear your thoughts on it as well. So obviously I had probably one of the best training blocks in the summer, not necessarily from a progression perspective, but I absolutely loved my summer training, and knocking those 5k PBs out of the park, I was just absolutely blown away. Yeah, I didn't get near the 10k stuff. Cheltenham actually on the weekend was the best 10k I've run this year, but actually the 5k stuff was good fun, and the training, it was just the best. It really got me going, it lit a fire inside me, and I just felt really good. Now I was obviously counting down the weeks to Abingdon Marathon, trying to work out when the latest time I could start training for that was, and I was quite happy with a 12-week build. But what I have to remember is from my Newport block, I obviously did like a 10k training block, a half marathon block, and then a full block. So I had really nice progression up all the way up to Newport, really kind of starting with the shorter, sharper reps, slowly extending them out over the half marathons, making the workouts a bit longer, and then extending once again for the marathon. And I think that's why I got in such good shape for Newport. Whereas this time around, it was just back from short, fast stuff straight in to the longer stuff. So 12 weeks was the mark that I decided on. I thought that was great. I actually started Newport training when I ran my 240 12 weeks out, like proper marathon training. So I thought, yeah, let's go for it. And that'll be the end of July. It's cutting it a bit fine, but it should do the job nicely. And I'm quite happy that if you get a good build up beforehand, you can roll straight into those 12 weeks, get marathon specific there. And that's probably the sweet spot for a lot of people out there. The thing is that I finished my 10k block middle of July. I had 2 weeks to play with in the middle, and I was having fun there. And as I said, best training block in the summer. And I started my marathon training block and that fire completely went out. I just was not excited for training anymore. I was really frustrated that I had to, and I'm going to use the word had lightly because I don't have to do anything, but I had to switch over into marathon mode. I knew I couldn't eke out the speed anymore. I wanted to continue it. I wanted to carry it on. I made a few comments, so whether you guys picked it up or not, I don't know. But I made a few comments at the time saying I was really gutted that I had to end the speed block where I did. I just wanted to carry it on. It was just so much fun. Anyway, I roll into the marathon training, got the first week done, and I was still enjoying it to a degree because I was still doing my double threshold training, but I knew that had to stop at some point because that's good as a good kind of like, not a base builder, but I know that's good for a good strength phase. But when you get into the specifics, I'd had to drop it out and get more marathon specific. So I had that to cling on to. And that was one of the major reasons why I enjoyed doing the summer training, because I love double threshold training. It really is such good fun for me anyway. So yeah, those got dropped a couple of weeks in. Obviously I did those through the summer, a couple more into marathon training, and literally as soon as I dropped those, I just really felt completely flat with training. I've been producing the training series videos. I think I've done 5 weeks now, is it? So this week that we're into now, on the Sunday coming up will be week 6. I've had 2 decent races. I've had a podium 5k race, which was 4 seconds off my PB, and a 10k, which is the fastest of the year, which now according to their results, gun time is 33:30, so I'll take it. But the reality is, when it comes to training, I just haven't been excited or enjoying it. Now, just a quick side note, the Cheltenham 10k has definitely lit that fire again. I feel absolutely buzzing, and I'm really excited now. I have kind of got that focus back for Abingdon, but before this, I had really lost it. And if Cheltenham hadn't have happened in the way that it happened, whether I would have that fire back or not, I just don't know. And the reality is there might be a couple of things going on there, but I think there are 2 things that I want to pinpoint. I think number 1, London scarred me a little bit earlier in the year. I think the way I approached it, I've been open and honest in a video more recently. I think I made mistakes in that build up. I'm quite happy to put my hand up to that. I think I rushed back. That then set me back more, and it was just then a scramble to the finish line. And at the end of the day, yes, I completed it. Yes, I got the job done. No, I wasn't going for any time. It was quite a poor performance on my part. Way subpar, and I kind of think to myself, why did I just put myself through that? And obviously hindsight's a wonderful thing. I've definitely learned from that, and I definitely will not be doing that again. But I think the second thing is I just pulled myself away from the speed block, something that I was really enjoying doing, and actually something inside me now already is saying to myself, should I maybe have just not done Abingdon? Should I have just not started it and maybe locked in to an autumn half marathon? And that, I won't lie, is something that went through my mind in the first 2 or 3 weeks. I feel like I could have transitioned nicely from a speed block into a half marathon block and still kept one of those speed works in a week for a lot longer than what I am for a marathon training. But at this moment in time, I decided to press on, and I'm now obviously week 6, which is halfway through the training block, and fitness is there. And so before we get to the conclusion, the other factor in all of that is indeed fitness. That's something that's been keeping me going as well. I often find that I get really super fit off the back of marathon training, and I know the benefits I'm going to get from these 12 weeks when the cooler weather comes and I can rock into November, December, January and February and have some really good races. I know weather's not always great around that time, but the cooler temperatures in general help the majority of us runners out there. So as I said, at the moment, some of the heart rate values that are coming back when I get back from my run and have a look at them are some of the lowest that I've ever seen. Some of the paces, the effort levels on the paces feel absolutely great. So I know that I'm in relatively good shape. For me, probably the best shape I've ever been in. But the reality is I've never ever done a 5k and a 10k as a tune-up race within a marathon block. I do a 10k, but it's much earlier in the block. I usually do a half marathon and a marathon and like maybe a 20 miler. I've just not been inclined to do any of them. I've just been avoiding the longer distances, and we'll get to training in a second, but I'll give you the conclusion of this now. And that conclusion is the honest truth. I have been considering pulling out of the marathon and considering pulling out of the training block and going back to what I have been really enjoying, which is the speed work. But I've been talking to a few people about it close to me, my wife, a few friends, a few running friends, rather than doing what I did at London, which is kind of insulate myself a bit and just make the own decisions in my head and say what's right for me. I've been trying to kind of verbalize it to a few people around me, see what they think, and we're kind of on the same page, which is a case of, do you know what? finish the block because you know the fitness you're going to get off the back of it, and hopefully something along the way will ignite that spark. Now the reality is I don't think it's marathon training in general, because my wife and I have been discussing races next year, potentially going into Europe again, maybe in and around February time or April. We've been looking at races, and a couple of the options once again is Barcelona, the one that I went to this year but couldn't race because I was too ill, and maybe Seville. And Seville is a marathon, and that really excites me. So I know it's not marathon training as a whole. I just think that at that moment in time it probably wasn't the right moment for me to switch into marathon. And I think what I should have done maybe is gone for that autumn half marathon and do what I did in the Newport Bill, which was speed work, half marathon, and then slowly work towards a marathon. But what's done is done now, and I'm 6 weeks into this one, and I'm going to commit to it. I'm going to stick with it. And as I said, after the Cheltenham 10K, I feel a lot more good about it. Went out for my run this morning and I was laser focused on Abingdon, and that's what I've got to keep. I've got to keep that in my mind. But I want to share this just because I feel it's been weighing on my shoulders a little bit, and obviously I'm producing videos every week around the training series, and I just don't want to be producing something that I don't feel is authentic and genuine, and maybe it may or may not resonate with you guys. I'm also very aware it will divide opinion between the comments. I should think half of you will be saying, well, do you know what, if you're not enjoying it, why are you doing it? Pull out of it, get back to what you enjoy. And the other half of it, yeah, absolutely, stick with it, good on you, see it through, and then roll into what you want to do. And I know from doing lots of training blocks over my time that actually completing a 12-week training block during the summer, this heat and humidity, the longer distance stuff, I should be, in theory, I should really benefit from that. And that in itself is a massive factor for why I want to carry on, because I know the training effect and the benefits I'm going to get from this cycle. I know that actually if I go back to speed work after this, I should absolutely fly, or I blooming hope so anyway. It's obviously just about staying healthy and injury free, which, touch wood, so far halfway through this block I am. So yeah, I appreciate it will probably divide opinion, but it is something that I've just been carrying around with me for a while. I don't know if it's been coming off in the videos or not, but at the same time, I hate it when people put stuff out there on social media, in the content world. They're talking about how great everything is, happy, smiley, but actually deep down, they're not quite as happy as they make out. I think it's just really important to share that. It's something that I wanted to verbalize. I hope you guys don't mind. And now finally, let me give you a very quick training update. So I feel like training's gone well so far, despite everything that I've just talked about. I'm training probably the best that I've ever trained. Mileage is as high as it's ever been. This marathon training block will be the biggest marathon training block that I've ever done in terms of mileage. Touch wood, if I can stay fit and consistent. Obviously it's been tricky to train through the summer holidays, and this week is the week the kids go back to school, but I've got so much on this week. It might be next week when the consistency really is able to be locked back in. I'm not going to compare old blocks, but in this training block I've done more miles, I've done more shorter, faster workouts than I had done in the Newport Marathon training block, but I've done less marathon specific training, which kind of puts me on edge a little bit, because I do want to start getting into some more marathon training workouts. And of course, from now, obviously my training plan's all written out and everything. From now until the end, I've got plenty of them being dropped in. One of them starting this week again. So the last marathon specific work I did was 3x2k around marathon effort, and then 6x k afterwards. So it was 6k in marathon range and then 6k after, which was a lot faster, so that was great. Then of course I tried to do a long run recently and do an hour at marathon pace. I called it at 45, though obviously if you saw that video you know exactly why that happened, so I won't go into more detail there. But I'm hoping as of this week I'll be able to get at least 60 minutes worth of work done at least, and then beyond that pick it up from there. So far so good. I've got to be honest with you, as I said, everything I've just talked about I appreciate. Obviously it was quite a negative video in terms of how I was feeling, really important for me to share. But I've got to say again, just looking at everything on paper, when I sit down and analyze it, which if I'm honest with you, I spent a good hour last night just going through Strava, just trying to reaffirm to myself, because I've been having a little bit of imposter syndrome lately, just feeling like, oh, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be training for the marathon, you should be backing out, all of this stuff. I'm kind of trying to tell myself, no, do you know what, you're putting in the work, it's all there. So I just wanted to share that with you as well and let you know that that is all going well. So I appreciate you guys, thank you so much. Back to normal videos after this, but this was just one to get off the chest, and hopefully we'll have another good week this week, we'll get that marathon training run done. We'll feel good, we'll come off the back of it, and we'll get the running shoes sorted as well. We'll see if we can get another pair of the Elites, and if not, we know those lucky Next Percent 2s will be getting run out. That'll be it from me today, guys. Hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please do consider giving it a like, share it with your friends, and of course, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content, and I'll see you on the next one.